Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 117 of the 815 Exchange. And of course, it is also Halloween, so happy Halloween, happy spooky season. It was a very spooky weekend for me. If you know, you know. So I definitely enjoyed my Halloween weekend. I hope you guys did too. I know it's still going on today. Unfortunately, some of us, have school, though most of my classes, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, are canceled today. Like my 9 a.m. So I got to sleep in a little bit, which I very much so needed after Saturday night. But I digress. We have plenty to talk about this week in sports, World Series, college football, Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva, Max breaking the F1 record, and some crazy stuff in racing, to be honest. But plenty to talk about as always. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. And as I always say, and as I will always say, everything you're looking for can be found in the description. So if you're looking for timestamps, you want to hear me talk about the week in the NFL, hear me wane in the misery of the Las Vegas Raiders, or praise the Cowboys, whatever it is, whatever you want to hear me skip to, feel free to go ahead. Timestamps are included in the description. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this started. College football. For pretty much, it was like week 8, week 9 in college football. I'm going to say week 9. And for these past 2 months, or some change maybe, I have consistently complained about the home team here. Consistently complained about how sorry this team is, how we have the worst defense, and I have been cooking the Charlotte 49ers for ages, and ages, and ages, and ages, and this week I cannot cook them. Fired Will Healy, then we went out on the road against Rice, and won we won 56-23, a 33-point win on the road, just out of nowhere after looking like the worst team in the FBS for pretty much the entire year. Don't know where it came from. No complaints though. CR3 went 16 for 19, 254 and 5 touchdowns. The man had more touchdowns than incompletions. Elijah Spencer had a hat trick, 5 receptions, 84 yards and 3 touchdowns for Spence. For Rice, McMahon, 218, 3 touchdowns. Rosner had 5 receptions, 105 and 2 touchdowns. Overall, not bad. It wasn't an awful day for them. However, I don't know if we switched defenses or what it was, but I again, do not know. We have 4 touchdowns, I think, as well, or rushing. It was the best game we played all year. And of course, we played it on the road naturally. And I don't know, maybe this is a sign of progress for Charlotte, as a football team and as a program, and us moving forward after the disaster that, I guess ended up being the end of Will Healy's tenure in this entire season up to this point. But I don't know. We'll see if this is a turning point. Kind of late for it, but you know what? I won't complain. We get a massive win versus Rice. Now let's get to this national schedule because, oh boy, Ohio State. Let's talk about Ohio State, who beat barely, and it took a hell of a comeback in the fourth quarter to take out Penn State 44-31 once again, beating James Franklin in a big game. CJF just cannot get it done in the big game. It's always something. But anyways, Penn State unfortunately chokes. Ohio State rises to the occasion. Moment was not too big. We're to coach 30. Now, C.J. Stroud, the great C.J. Stroud, had 354 yards and a touchdown. And you might think, wow, Stroud, another game of him balling out. I'm going to be completely honest. And I said this on Twitter. I've said this to my friends. I've been saying this for a while. And do not get me wrong. I will preface my statement by saying I think C.J. Stroud is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I think he's a very good quarterback. He's a good player. Absolutely. No question about it. He is not the guy. He's just not. Maybe in the future, one day, he ends up developing into... He is not the guy. He's not even the guy at Ohio State. He's not the guy. He's just not that guy. He's not. Though he's going to make sure that the box score, when you look at the stats after the game, if you didn't watch, it's always going to look pretty. He's not going to throw a lot of incompletions. You know, he's going to mostly take care of the ball. He'll throw for a bunch of yards, maybe a bunch of touchdowns. It'll look it'll look gorgeous. And you'll think, man, Stroud is the guy. Even when watching him, sometimes he'll make some great throws, and you'll be like, man, C.J. Stroud is this incredible quarterback. He is not that guy, and that was evident. Now, I understand they were playing Penn State. Penn State's a good team. But he's just not that guy. I'm going to say what a lot of people probably are fearful of saying, and it's the truth. If C.J. Stroud was not at Ohio State, if he did not play with the receiving corps, with the weapons that he plays with, if he didn't play with the greatest active receiving corps in America under the greatest active receiving coach in America, he would not be considered anywhere near the quarterback prospect that he is considered. He just wouldn't. He just wouldn't. I don't even know if he's the second best player on that team. Because he definitely was not a factor in how they won this game. And nearly was a detriment, honestly, for most of this game. Stroud is just not that guy. But you know who on Ohio State is in fact that guy? Marvin Harrison Jr. is that guy. Believe the hype. Even though he didn't manage to score, he absolutely took this game over along with the other guy on the defensive side of the ball that I'm about to get to. Marv had 10 receptions, 185. Listen, they could have thrown the ball to him every single play. And I was shocked that they didn't. They could have just thrown it to him every single play, and it would have worked. He just couldn't be stopped. He could not be stopped. He's a different species, just like JSN, who once again didn't play this week. Trevion Henderson came up clutch, 2 touchdowns to help kind of close the show. When it mattered, you know, after they struggled running the ball, Mike Williams got hurt. He showed up big time, rose to the occasion. Trevion Henderson, once again showing why a lot of people had him tabbed going into the season as one of the best running backs in the country. But of course, I would be amiss if I did not talk about the game that JT Tuimoloau had in this game. One of the greatest defensive performances I've possibly ever seen. 6 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 1 pick six from a defensive end. He is a defensive end with 2 interceptions, a pick six, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss. Just an outrageous game from JTT, showing why he was once upon a time the number 1 prospect in his class. And yeah, he just dominated. He looked like that next generation of a great Ohio State edge rusher that, you know, we've been kind of looking for. Somebody to hop off and, you know, jump off and claim that spot. He claimed that spot in this game, and he, alongside Marvin Harrison Jr., are the reason why they won this game. Not C.J. Stroud. JTT and Marvin Harrison Jr. are the reason why Ohio State won this game. Incredible performances from them. Sean Clifford, it was the peak Sean Clifford up and down game. 371, 3 touchdowns, and 3 picks for Clifford. So once again, the most Sean Clifford big game possible. Parker Washington balled out also for Penn State, made a couple unbelievable catches. 11 receptions, 179, and a touchdown in his little duel with Marv on the other side. And yeah, just really good game overall. And like I said, Ohio State, shout out to JTT and Marv, because I mean, they stepped up big time. Stroud is just, until I'm proven otherwise, he's just not that guy to me. And yeah, I don't see it. I've heard people say he's generational. He's absolutely not. Not even close. But Ohio State survives another week. Notre Dame takes out Syracuse. Syracuse has been riding high for most of the season. Had one of the greatest starts in school history, if not the best start, I think, record-wise in school history. But it has all come falling down. Notre Dame, on the other hand, had one of the worst starts in school history. But Marcus Freeman, since becoming Catholic, has seemed to turn it around. Notre Dame gets the win over Syracuse, 41-24 here. Estime with 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. Botello with 2 sacks. And Joseph with a very, very big, game-changing pick six. And the Fighting Irish take out Cuse. Georgia, Florida. Of course, good old-fashioned hate. Good old-fashioned SEC hate. Had to reword that so I didn't, mix that up with Georgia Tech. But anyways, the world's largest cocktail party Not as hyped this year because Florida's just not as good. Georgia handled business. I don't know where they keep coming up with these position players that just seem to pop out. Georgia has great recruiting classes. I just never can remember any of these position players as recruits. Never. But then they show up on game day and they're donning the scarlet and the black and the white, and they show up and they're stars suddenly. So this week it was Deshaun Edwards at running back, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns, a career day for him. Kenny McIntosh, we know Kenny McIntosh. Feels like he's been there forever. 90 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. But of course, the man, the myth, the best tight end in the country, Brock Bowers. 5 receptions, 154, and a wondrous touchdown, which, the ball deflected off the defender. He had to turn around 180, catch it somehow like this, and then took it to listen, he's the best tight end in the country, one of the best players in the country. Brock Bowers certified him. AR-15, once upon a time we thought he was him. He is just not. Even though he wasn't awful in this game, 271 and a touchdown for AR. Xavier Henderson had 5 receptions, 110 and a touchdown. But listen, this game was all Bulldogs from the jump. And yeah, it wasn't really close. Georgia beats Florida. Oh my goodness, Oklahoma State, what happened? What happened in this game? Kansas State throttles the Cowboys 48-0. Will Howard, 296 for touchdowns. Somebody put some respect on my fellow short king, Deuce Vaughn's name. Because the boy had 176 and 2 touchdowns. Knowles with 8 receptions, 113. Listen, Kansas State, I looked up and it was 28-0 and I was like, what's going on? What's going on? Because I was flipping between, I think, this and UGA, Florida. We're also working on some homework. And, I was like, what's going on with Oklahoma State? But, yeah, one of the worst losses you may see from a top 10 opponent all year, okay? One of the worst losses you'll see from a ranked opponent. It was an all-time bad Oklahoma State performance and an all-time great Kansas State win because, 48-0 just is insane. Like I said, shout out to Will Howard, filling in as the backup quarterback. He's looked very comfortable. And once again, Deuce Vaughn is one of the best running backs in the country. Kansas State makes a statement against Oklahoma State. Louisville crushes Wake Forest. This was the week of the shock win. Louisville, 48-21. Wake Forest, again, for the past 2 years, has been one of the best teams in the ACC. But non-existent in this game. Louisville. Defense, probably I would dare say one of the best. If it wasn't for Ohio State and JTT single-handedly, probably the best defensive performance, even though they gave up 21 points. One of the best ones I saw this week because they forced not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 forced fumbles against Wake Forest. Evans for the running game, 106 and a touchdown, 8 sacks as well for that Louisville defense. Just a dominant performance versus by the Cards against the Demon Deacons. Again, I did not expect that, but you know what? Congrats to the Cards. Look very, very good. UCF breaks Cincy's AAC streak. The unbeaten streak is dead. It's gone. And I don't know why UCF did not start King to start the season because that team just moves different with him at quarterback. Harvey, running-wise, 84 yards, which might not seem like a lot, but he did get the game winner with 48 seconds to go. This was a game that was very tense, back and forth. Again, these two teams have historically been the 2 best teams in the AAC, even though AAC is being broken up, of course. But they've been kind of the class, especially in football. So, it was good to see it one last time. And UCF nearly walks off Cincy at home and breaks Fickle and the boys' streak. Tennessee and Kentucky. Hendon Hooker does it again, 19 for 25, 245 for the 3 touchdowns for the Heisman favorite. Jalen Hyatt, who also might need to be in the Heisman candidacy at this point, 5 receptions, 138 and 2 touchdowns for the man that has to be in Biletnikoff talks. Just absolutely has to be. Who has to be considered one of the best receivers in the country at this point. A lot of people said Will Levis was a star. They said he was possibly a superstar, at least in college football. They said he was a first-round quarterback. Don't know where that came from, and he has done nothing to prove that this year. Now I understand that he's hurt, but he has done nothing. nothing to prove that he is a first-round quarterback. And he certainly didn't do anything in this game because he had not one, not two, but three. A hat trick of interceptions for Will Levis. Yeah, just a disaster class from Kentucky. Absolute disaster class, and once again, Tennessee is the real deal. They're looking like the real deal. And we'll talk about, at the end of this segment, what they got coming up next. But yeah, Tennessee once again looks very strong. USC is back, and once again I am chanting fight on, even though it was very, very close. Alright, now, to be fair, we were missing Jordan Addison, and of course Eric Gentry. Eric Gentry, possibly even a bigger loss than Jordan Addison, which is crazy because Addison won the Biletnikoff last year. But I digress. USC wins 45-37. Caleb Williams. Lord, what a player. 4'11", 5 touchdowns. He's unsackable. I don't know what else to say. I love the man. You know who else I love? Mr. Dye. 113 and a touchdown. Again, another great trainer. I can't say enough. I love them. I do. Taj Washington. Now, we don't have Ohio State's receiving corps, but we do still have a very deep receiving corps as per the usual with the USC Trojans. Taj Washington stepped up in this game. 7 receptions, 118 and 2 touchdowns for Taj. Kyle Ford finally fought through a lot of injuries, but he looked like the 5-star he was supposed to be. 6 receptions, 114 and a touchdown for Kyle. JDL for Arizona, though, he balled out. I have to give credit where credit is due. 434 and 3 touchdowns. Senior, 7 receptions, 141 and a hat trick of touchdowns for him. Arizona's offense looked good. Now, I know we had some people out on defense, and, we just overall didn't play our best defensive game, to be straight up with you. But, yeah, I have to give credit to JDL. He looked like a very, very good quarterback. However, unfortunately for Arizona, they were playing Caleb Williams, and that's just he's a problem. He's him. What can I say? Michigan takes out Michigan State 29-7. Jake Moody had 4 field goals. Blake Corum went over 100 yards yet again. One of the best running backs in the country. I've said it. I'll say it again. But the big story from this game was Michigan State has a bunch of pussies on their team, and they jumped a Michigan player after the game in the tunnel. Jumped him, was swinging their helmet at him. It was a pitiful excuse of, it's definitely not sportsmanship, but just pitiful behavior by Sparty. Now, those 4 players were suspended. I don't think that's far enough, in my opinion. You should be kicked off the team. That's no way to act. You don't physically assault somebody because you got punked by your rival, so you're so stuck into being little brother that it hurts your feelings. So you had to get it back by fighting. It's weak, super weak. So I have no remorse when Harbaugh trots J.J. McCarthy with another year of experience and whoever else Michigan has next year, and they hang 100 or whatever ridiculous amount on you. I have no sympathy. None for Michigan State. You did it to yourself. You dug your own grave. Go Wolverines. They get the win this past week. And to end off this segment, Virginia Tech and Miami played another sicko game of the year. I said Virginia. Tony Elliott, football terrorist. This game went to 4 overtimes and had no touchdowns. It finished 16-13 in 4 overtimes. It's just a crime against the sport. Mizzou beat Scar. I don't know how South Carolina was ranked. They had to be the weakest. They were number 25, so obviously they're the weakest ranked team, but that's just not a good team. Spencer Rattler is not a good quarterback. And, of course, next week we will be talking about the very, very, very big Georgia-Tennessee game. It is also a number 1 versus number 2 game. At least according to the AP poll. We'll see what the college football playoff rankings, which come out, I think, today, what they have to say about it. But, yeah, probably number 1 versus number 2 game. Listen to next week. We'll see you for that. All right, now, combat sports. And, of course, the big, highly anticipated matchup between one problem child, Jake Paul, and the Spider himself. Anderson Silva took place Saturday night, and, well, went about what I was expecting. It was, honestly, the fight was better than I expected it to be. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not going to sit here. I'm not a hater, all right? I'm a hater in some... I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater. I'm really not. So I'm gonna be completely honest. It was a good match. It was a very even match. There was good action. I've seen some much worse boxing matches from some high level competitors. But this was actually a good boxing match from Jake Paul and Anderson Silva. Jake, of course, won. I think we all knew if it went to decision, he was probably going to win if it was close, and it was close, and he won. I think it's not really too controversial over him winning either. I think it was fairly close. I caught some of it live, and then I rewatched it. So, got no problem with him winning. He's getting better, again, every fight, as he should. But, of course, it's time for him to fight some real boxers. Though Anderson Silva was still, a little bit, closer to step up in competition. Silva's gotten the boxing ring before. But once again, it's a retired fighter, so, understandable ragging currently on Jake about him fighting people in the retirement home. But, we'd like to see him fight a real fighter next time. Well, not a real fighter, but a real, a boxer that boxes actively. I think that's kind of the next step and the next direction we should go. Canelo Alvarez, that's cute. Absolutely not, because Jake would get massacred. And I don't think that fight's ever going to happen. Unless Canelo, washes up in the next couple, years, but, I don't think that's going to happen. But anyways, Jake beats the Spider. No big knockout, even though he did have a knockdown. He's got some power. He's getting better. And it was a good fight. Sorry. If you thought I was going to have, a rant and be like, oh, nah. It was just a solid fight, and decent performance for both of them. Lots of sportsmanship. Jake gets the win. We'll see who he fights next. In boxing, still I guess staying in boxing, but back to the legitimate, talking about the big dogs here. Vasily Lomachenko returned to the ring to take on Ortiz. Handled him pretty easily. Haney was there. They showed up against each other in the ring, so maybe that might be next. Loma versus Haney. I think Loma's definitely deserving of another title shot, and honestly, makes a lot of sense considering that it seems like Tank and Ryan are trying to figure out something to fight next, so that leaves Loma and Haney open for each other, and it's another opportunity for Haney to truly kind of express, if he is this guy in this generation, right? Go after the big dog. I know T.O. technically has already beaten him, but it's another opportunity for Haney to kind of truly position himself amongst the elite, in which make a statement. I'm a pound for pound guy. He beats Loma, he's a pound for pound guy. You can argue he is already, but if he beats Loma, he's a pound for pound guy. I would like to see the fight. It'll be an interesting clash of styles, and probably I don't know if it'd be the most exciting fight, but it'd be a very interesting fight. But Loma handles Ortiz with ease, and in the UFC, Fight Nights, Calvin Kattar and Arnold Allen headlined. Kattar blew out his knee, so unfortunately not much to talk about there. Wishing the best for Kattar. Of course, he's been great for that division. He's been great in the UFC, but fortunately, just one step, blew out his knee. Arnold was looking good though, if I'm being honest, before that, and looked like he was probably going to win that fight. But nonetheless, Kattar blows out his knee. I feel like we've had that too many injuries in the UFC and just MMA in general. Too many kind of freak accidents. A lot of them happened this year. But wishing the best for Kattar in his recovery. Entertainment. All right, let's talk about it. Chainsaw Man. We'll kick off with Chainsaw Man, and then we'll get to what I've been watching. But Chainsaw Man, this week we had Mui and Power, which is Power's cats. Mui had been abducted by the Bat Devil. Power, of course, turns on Denji and basically, feeds Denji to the Bat Devil to recover. And then the Bat Devil eats both Power and Meowie. So Denji just kind of levels up and says he's not going out like that. Remembers Tokashita and, sympathizes with Power and just goes crazy. I'm not gonna lie, was going crazy. The man, he's different. He's a different breed. He is still absolutely down bad, just in the search of touching some boobs, and that's his sole purpose for this life. But the man is built different, all right? When he pulls that string and he revs up them chainsaws, it's time to get up out that way because you are going to get put on a t-shirt. But yeah, dingy, different breed. We'll see what happens. But another good episode of Chainsaw Man. Cobra Kai. I finished watching that. Lived up to the hype. Very good show. I wasn't like the biggest Karate Kid fan and like the universe and all the movies. But you know what? I came out of it with a new appreciation. And yeah, Cobra Kai. Very, 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 very good show. Highly would recommend it if you're looking for something to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The fight scenes are very well done. The storylines are good. The villains are very, interesting. Even the hero, so to speak, right? Very, very interesting. Ralph and William continue to put in great performances. It's a good show, man. It's a really, really good show. And yeah, Cobra Kai. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed it a lot. And in music, yes, we have something in music. Now, Her Loss didn't come out, that's next week, so we'll talk about Drake and 21 next week. But the Melodic Blue Deluxe came out from Baby Keem. Did his thing. I think my favorite song off of the Deluxe was Bank Account feat. Uzi, which was the last song. I think a lot of people also liked Kill Streaks feat. Pink Panties and was it Don? I think Don was on it, but yeah. Melodic Blue Deluxe, if you haven't checked it out, the Melodic Blue, by the way, if you haven't checked out that album in full, go check that out because it was one of the best, one of my, no, it was one of the better albums, in my opinion, definitely last year. Very good work, Baby Keem, he's great. And yeah, Melodic Blue Deluxe, go check it out. Bank Account, that was my favorite song, and that was entertainment. Now, of course, that brings us to the heralded World Series. We are here with the MLB. And the Phillies took game one, of course, had me very, very happy. But then the Houston Astros struck back, as expected. Astros get the win 5-2 over the Phillies. Valdez was the big reason why in this game. 9 strikeouts for him. A lot of discussion about, was he cheating? Because he kept rubbing the rising bag and then he'd rub like his hand, for grip. And Pedro Martinez did a really good segment. So look that up, kind of explaining that. I'm not going to explain it because I know I'll butcher it. But Pedro Martinez, if you look it up on like Twitter or something, he'll explain exactly what Valdez was doing. It's not really cheating, but it was it was a little bit of a loophole to get better grip. But nonetheless, it's all fair game. Astros tie up the series. We'll see what's happening next. Of course, you guys know who I'm rooting for, simply out of spite. But yeah, looking like we might have an interesting World Series on our hands. Big game 3 ahead of us. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, not the Roundup, but the NFL. And Thursday night, we actually once again did not have another war crime against football. It wasn't another sicko game, all right? I guess Virginia and Miami took off the, sicko energy and just war crime against football, energy. They took it away. So once again, we had a solid Thursday night game. Tom Brady, oh boy, it was not a great week for Tom Brady. Because right after this game, by the way, which they lost to the Baltimore Ravens at home, 27-22, he finalized his divorce with Giselle. So the man is married to the game. He's married to the game. Purely married to the game. Because you have to be a different breed to give up your family for 3 and 5. I mean, you have to be a different breed, but I guess that's why he's a GOAT. That is why he's the GOAT. Because you got to be wired differently to give up your supermodel family to just play with this sorry Bucs team. You just have to be different. I legitimately think Brady, not that this really is a surprise, honestly, I think he has like a competition addiction where if he feels that he's not competing for something, he has no purpose in life. He feels lost because it's beyond me. But yes, nonetheless, we had four scores in the last 7 minutes of this game. But unfortunately, the Bucs just ran out of time. Brady went 26 for 44 out of 325 and a touchdown. Lamar Jackson had a good bounce back game, 238 and 2 touchdowns for Lamar. Mike Evans went over 100 yards, but did not have his finest game. A couple drops. It was a rough game. It was a rough game for the Bucs. They have not looked that impressive, and the Ravens getting much needed win because they were also somewhat in free fall. But yeah, Bucks not looking good. Brady down bad. Once again, we headed off to London in the morning, and the Broncos took care of the Jaguars. I mean, I'm gonna say it. I'm not sure if Trev just might not be that guy. He just might not be that guy. I have to be brutally honest. Not that he can't turn it around, but I don't know. He might be constantly stuck in this loop of brilliance to what are you doing? And that seems to be where he's stuck at. We'll see if he can break through, and that's going to determine whether he reaches his superstar, potential. But right now, it's just a seesaw, and it's got to be tiring if you're a Jag fan. Rust didn't play a great game either. But this game is another game that went down to the wire here. ETN with the go-ahead with 3:54, but then Latavius Murray gets it back. The Broncos, Russ, finally look competent, drive down the field, and get the win with 2 minutes to go. And then they pick off Trev to win the game. ETN had 156 and a touchdown. He's looking like he might be in conversations for a first-round running back in fantasy football next year, because his usage is looking real high. And especially with them trading away James Robinson, he is definitely, absolutely the guy in Jacksonville. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, ETN plays great. T-Law doesn't. The Broncos come through when it matters. The Falcons and the Panthers. The Falcons get the win in overtime, 37-34. Thanks to Eddie Pinheiro, disaster class. Okay, he might be cut as I am speaking. Okay. Single-handedly keeping the Panthers tank alive, because PJ Walker, refuses to join and be a tank commander. 317 and a touchdown for PJ, but Deontay Foreman looked like he was back at Texas, 118 and 3 touchdowns. Now, you can shift some of the blame, I guess, technically on DJ Moore, even though Walker and Moore connected on one of the best throwing catches you will see all week to tie the game. But then in celebration, Moore took off his helmet. He gets penalized. That pushes them way back for the extra point. Pinheiro misses it. Confident shot. He goes in and he misses a field goal to win it in overtime. So maybe, some way, butterfly effect of DJ Moore's celebration. However, DJ balled out 6 receptions, 152 and a touchdown. I think that's the game a lot of people have been waiting on him to have. Marcus Mariota, up and down game, but you know what? When it mattered, he showed up. Mariota, 20 for 28, 253, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. But like I said, when it mattered, he showed up. Kyle Pitts finally had a good game. 5 receptions, 80 yards, and a touchdown. So, again, fantasy owners like me, formerly of Kyle Pitts, naturally he shows up when you don't have him anymore. But I'm sure he'll go back to regressing to the being absent, next week. But great game, honestly. A great game between the worst division in football, probably in the NFC South. But you know what? Falcons and the Panthers put on a banger. The Panthers tank continues. The Cowboys annihilate the Chicago Bears. And another really good game. This game was actually closer than the score dictates. We kind of ran away with it in the second half of it. But you know what? This was a very, very good game. And a very entertaining game, probably as a neutral. Micah Parsons, of course, broke the game open with that 36-yard fumble return, which will be marred in kind of infamy because Justin Fields not, realizing that he has to touch Micah to, rule him down, jumped over Micah when he could have touched him to down him, and Parsons took it to the crib, and the game was pretty much done from there. But overall, like I said, very entertaining game. Dak looked a little bit better, getting back in tune this week. 250, only 6 incompletions and 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard filling in for the injured Ezekiel Elliott. And once again proving that he could have been probably the future back for us. 131 and 3 touchdowns for Pollard, so he gets the hat trick. Dak also had one on the ground to push his touchdown total to 3. CeeDee Lamb, decent game for him. Micah Parsons once again did Micah Parsons things as always. You know how that goes. We had 4 sacks of Justin Fields. Fields, by the way, played a solid game, 17 for 23, 151 and 2 touchdowns. Khalil Herbert had 99 yards on the ground. Fields also had a touchdown on the ground. And like I said, very entertaining game. But like I said, man, the Cowboys, we played a very, very complete game. And Pollard stole the show. We get the win against the Bears. the Dolphins take out the Lions, who I think have currently the worst record in the league. So yeah, it's looking like they're winning the Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, possibly now I guess even Hendon Hooker sweepstakes. We'll see where they go with that pick. But yeah, the Dolphins make their contribution. They get back on track in a big way. Mike Gesicki with 12 seconds to go. 12 seconds to go. They were down 27-17, down by 10 going into the fourth quarter. But you know what? Tua finally, maybe fully recovered from that concussion, of course. Had the game we saw Tua play earlier in the season that had us thinking this guy might be an MVP candidate. 29 for 36, 382, and 3 touchdowns for Tua. Cheetah had 12 receptions, 188. Jalen Waddle, 8 receptions, 106, and 2 touchdowns. Gesicki got in the box. Like I said, it was a vintage Dolphins performance with that pass game. They were doing their thing. Jared Goff, for all the things I just said about the Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Hendon Hooker, he hasn't been bad, truth be told, for the Lions. He has not been awful. There have been much worse quarterbacks in the league. And even in this game, he was too bad. 321 and a touchdown for Goff. But just wasn't enough. They only ran for 82 yards, and it wasn't a pretty 82 yards, if I'm being honest. And yeah, defense just couldn't hold up at the end. That Dolphins offense was just too much. Tua's back, Cheetah's back, Waddle's back, Miami's back. Vikings take out the Cardinals 34-26. Yeah, Kirk Cousins, how about it? 232 and 2 touchdowns for Kirk. Dalvin Cook, how about it? 111 and a touchdown. Now Jettas did not get in the box, but it was all right. It was real fine. It's funny though. It is funny though to kind of look at this stat line for the Vikings, because of course you got Jefferson and Thielen at the top with targets and receptions and yards. But then the people who had a combined 9 yards total in 3 catches are the people that got the touchdowns from Kirk. So just, yeah, that's kind of a funny contrast. Looking at the stat line, they had 173 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. The Vikings did. They could not be stopped on the ground. Oh my goodness. Smith, career day. 3 sacks, 7 tackles, 4 for a loss. Dominant game defensively for him. Rushing the passer. Kyler Murray, not quite a disaster class, but pretty Kyler Murray-esque game. In terms of 326, those for 300 yards, so those for 3 touchdowns. But he's going to turn the ball over once or twice, and it ends up costing his team the game. But yeah, D-Hop also returned. So shout out to Nuke. 12 receptions, 159 and a touchdown. But like I said, it wasn't enough. That defense did not show up. Kyler turned the ball over way too much, and the Vikings came to play. They get the win, 34-26. The Saints take out the Raiders. I mean, what else can I say, man? This Raiders team is down horrendous. Horrendous. It's bad out here. The Saints win 24-0. I don't even need to read the stat line, to be honest. But the Red Rocket got it in. AK-41 got it in. And David Carr, whichever Carr brother it is. All right? It was bad. Disaster class. Absolute disaster class. From the Raiders, Saints win. The Pats take out the Jets 22-17. Finally, come back to earth. The Jets have been riding high, and finally, they came back down to earth. Now, we cooked Mac Jones this last week. I'm not going to sing his praises this week, all right? He was a little bit better, helped them win the game, so credit where credit's due. But, I really give more of the credit to Zach Wilson just playing bad. The man had 21 incompletions. And for the simple fact that that Pats defense stepped up. Belichick once again did it to the Jets. For whatever reason, no matter how good the Jets play heading into the picture, no matter how good, they could be undefeated. Wilson looking like Pat Mahomes, and I still would probably think that, they're probably going to lose to New England somehow, some way. New England could be 0 and whatever going into this game, and I'm not sure if I would pick against the Patriots. They got the Jets' number. Simply put, they have the Jets' number, a great defensive performance, and they end the Jets' hot streak. The Philadelphia Eagles are still undefeated. A.J. Brown went crazy in this game. Him and Hurts have been one of the best quarterback receiver, if not the best quarterback receiver duo in the league this year. Hurts went 19 for 28, 285 and 4 touchdowns. A.J. Brown, my God, what a free agency signing. 6 receptions, 156, and a hat trick for A.J. Yeah, he was just dominant in this game, and fantasy owners around the world rejoiced because he dropped a 40 bomb, 6 sacks, by the way, for the Eagles defense of Kenny Pickett, 2 sacks for Javon Hargrave. Pickett turns the ball over a lot. 1 game, okay, 2 game, okay, but it's becoming a reoccurring thing. Whether it's an interception or a fumble, in this case, it was 2 fumbles. He lost 1 of them. He's got to work on protecting the ball. That is the first step. It is the first step. You can have all the talent in the world. You have to protect the ball. Because we can live with you not being an elite talent maybe, but you make sure you take care of the ball. You can win games with a quarterback like that. But you cannot win a game with a quarterback that turns the ball over as much as Kenny Pickett is. So something for the rookie to, fix up and sharpen up. Again, of course, he's playing statistically and I guess technically the best team in the league right now. But got to clean that up. It's been a reoccurring theme. However, the Eagles win the Battle of Pennsylvania. AJ and Jalen Hurts have been on a different level. The Titans take out the Texans 17-10. Derrick Henry. What more to say? By the way, Malik Willis making his first career start. Didn't look that great, but didn't matter because Derrick Henry ran for 200 yards. Ties the NFL record for most career 200-yard games. I think he'll break that. But yeah, 219 and 2 touchdowns for King Henry. He is currently leading the league. Well, no, he's not leading the league, but he's getting very, very close to leading the league in rushing yet again. He's quietly, very, very quietly having a very, very nice kind of bounce back season after the injury last year. But yeah, King Henry, 200 yards. He's probably had like 3 of those 200-yard games against the Texans. I don't know what it is, but he always feasts versus Houston. The Washington Commanders, once again, probably won a game they had no business winning. Taylor Heineke, once again, is clutch. He gets the 1-yard run with 22 seconds to go to win the game. The Colts actually had a chance to win this game, but a costly drop. Even though he's my guy, MPJ, gotta make that play. And it ends up costing the Colts. They get that win. Terry McLaurin, I have to give a shout out because he stepped up big time. Had that huge catch to put them in position to win the game in the first place. That was outrageous. But once again, the Commanders somehow find a way to win, and the NFC East continues to look better and better. The 49ers take out the Rams 31-14. That Super Bowl hangover is whooping LA's. You know who else was whooping LA's? CMC, who is very comfortably inserted himself into this 49ers offense. The man threw for a touchdown, he ran for a touchdown, and he caught a touchdown. So yeah, now you get to see Christian McCaffrey at peak power. An absolutely dominant game for Mac. Garoppolo, 21 for 25, 235, 2 touchdowns. Once again, take care of the ball, do what you're supposed to, get it to your weapons, will make you always look good, and Jimmy G played well in this game. Cooper Kupp held under 100 yards, which is always a big thing because that seems to be a very hard thing to do when he's getting targeted 20 times a game. But the 49ers were able to do it and played one of their most complete games. They look like they might be a different team. We'll see if getting CMC, causes them to, have a breakthrough and make a run here late in the season. But yeah, he made all the difference in this game versus the Rams. The Seahawks take out the Giants and finally deliver them their second loss. Geno Smith, 212, 23 for 34, 2 touchdowns. Kenny Walker, not the greatest, box score stat line, but that run, if you know what I mean, which was late, by the way, was the go-ahead. Well, not really the go-ahead, but kind of put the game away. That's about as good as it gets. That is about as good as it gets. Oh, how I wish I did not cut him earlier in the season on my fantasy team. But yeah, Kenny Walker, looking like the Kenny Walker we saw at Michigan State. Barkley held to only 53 yards, so a great defensive performance from Seattle. They're, by the way, 5-3. A very quiet 5-3, but you know what? They might be near or at the top of that division. And yeah, to stay atop, they're still atop of that division, even with, the Rams, even with the 49ers about to heat up. The Seahawks are definitely in playoff position. Probably need to be taken a little bit serious, as a playoff contender. Maybe not a Super Bowl contender, but as a playoff team. The Giants, back down to earth. Both the New York teams both got brought back down to earth, got humbled this week, but we'll see if they can bounce back next week. I'm so sorry, Packers fans. I'm not even gonna rag on you. I'm really not. I could, but I'm not. The Bills get the win, 27-17. Let's be real, you were never winning this game. But it's just been. I'm so sorry. It's just not been fun. Not been fun for Rodgers. It's just not been fun to watch your team. It's just not been good. And even in this game, which y'all gave the ball to Aaron Jones, which we've been asking for y'all to do, didn't matter. Ran for over 200 yards. Didn't matter. Just didn't matter. Did not matter. Bills goal line defense shows up. Bills defense shows up overall. A-Rod doesn't play a great game, even though he was solid. Y'all even got Josh Allen to get picked off twice, but it just did not matter. Just did not matter. Somehow, someway, found a way to lose. Stephon Diggs went 6 receptions, 108, a touchdown. Him and Jair Alexander had a great battle all game long. But it just wasn't enough. Found a way to lose. Bills found a way to win. Simply put, Bills get the win, and the Packers continue to have the season of misery. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the Roundup. And of course, that brings us to some racing. NASCAR went to Martinsville for the last race of the round of 8 to bring us to our championship 4. And Joey Logano had already won, so he was in. Christopher Bell won this Martinsville race, so he was in. Chase Elliott was in like 2nd or 3rd, so he was going to get on point. So it really came down to Ross Chastain versus Denny Hamlin. And with 1 lap to go, Ross Chastain sat in 10th while Denny sat in 5th. It looked like it was done. It looked like Ross was done. I mean, Martinsville is a short track, the shortest track actually. It's not the easiest to pass on, so yeah, it looked like he was done, dead in the water. But Ross Chastain is a wild man, and I mean, he pulled off a NASCAR game, iRacing maneuver, in one of the greatest moments, probably in NASCAR history, to make the playoff, or make the Final Four, should I say. He wall rides the last lap, sends it right into the wall, and like I said, wall rides through 4 different cars, gets aside Denny, bumps into him, and takes the spot to take the spot in the championship 4. Just an absolutely incredible, mind-blowing move that we have never in my life ever seen in racing. It's something that you've only probably ever seen maybe in the game as like a power gaming move, but I never would have expected to see that in real life. The ultimate ballsy move, the high risk, high reward, works out for Ross Chastain, and that just kind of summarizes the type of racer he is. He would even try something like this. But yeah, an all-time great moment, kind of overshadowed Seabell coming and, you know, pulling off the upset to win and make the championship 4. But yeah, Ross Chastain, insane last lap to make it in. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting championship 4 with those 4 drivers. Max Verstappen, as expected, breaks the F1 wins record in Mexico. He dominated. He was on the pole, dominated all race. Lewis just couldn't catch him. Checo wasn't going to pass Lewis. It was pretty boring, to be honest. But Max breaks the record. So congratulations to Max, one of the most dominant F1 seasons we can remember. And I will talk about the NBA, and I will only talk about it this week because the Lakers are 0-5, and Rob Pelinka, what are you doing? What did you do? What did you do? You know, like I said last week, you know, I on here, you know, and just out to my friends, I jokingly said, okay, it was a joke, Lakers. I wasn't being serious. I didn't say you should actually let the Pelicans have Wemby, but you know what? You're doing a hell of a job. A hell of a job to make sure that they get Wemby. A hell of a job. We'll see if the Lakers ever win a game, because I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if they're ever going to win a game. That team is just bad, regardless of them having this second greatest player of all time, arguably the greatest player of all time, who still is a very good player. Regardless of them having an 80, it just doesn't matter. Lakers are bad. What more can I say? It's going to be a very spooky season. Very, very spooky season for them. But yeah, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for episode 117 of Hope you guys have a great Halloween. Hope you had a great Halloween weekend. Stay safe. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Old Show signing off.